That's right. It's another edition of NSIC Weekly. I'm Tom Frederick, play-by-play announcer of the University of Sioux Falls. This baby is the offspring of Matt Witwicky, the NSIC guy for D2Football.com. He lives and breathes Division II football. He co-hosts, the Sunday night show, the podcast for the RMAC, the podcast for the MIAA, occasionally the podcast for the GLIAC. I'm guessing there's only one other person on this earth, Witt, who knows as much about Division II football as you, and that's your good buddy, Chuck.
My good buddy Chuck knows more than I do, and my buddy Brandon does as well. But, obviously he's sidelined with us for a little bit, and I've gotten a chance to get the RMAC show. We've got my old co-host, AC, has got that under control now. Good. And Chuck and I have been doing both, a little bit of the GLIAC, so, we've kind of balanced things off a little bit.
So your plate isn't all football now. You've got room for food on that plate.
Wow, already. Yeah. Already.
Say my weekend consisted of more than 17 hours on a bus.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Making the trip up to mine. I know it's something you always look forward to.
Oh, you cannot believe. And then the booth where you broadcast the game from is a coach's office. And it wasn't prepared for us when we got there. And the sun was shining in. It's all windows in this office. Great scenic views, but it's all windows. And it was a sunny day. And there's no air.
It didn't sound like you did any complaining, at least.
We did have a window that opened, thank God, because by the end of the game, it was 90 degrees in that office. The only saving grace for this trip was watching Georgia and Alabama on the bus ride home. Made that bus ride a little more palatable. And I was just happy as a clam for former Sioux Falls coach Kalen DeBoer. He's now leader of the Alabama program. Everybody knows that.
Thanks for breaking that news. Yes.
Yeah. Whatever success he experiences, he deserves. And I couldn't happen to a nicer guy. That when they blew a 28-0 lead, though, I'm thinking, oh my God.
Heck of a football game, though.
What were they going to do to him in Alabama had they lost that?
For sure.
So that was my weekend. What did Witt do on the final weekend of September?
My 5th and 6th grade football team that I've been working with and teaching them how to tackle, block, and all those good things. Had a noon game, then came on back, watched a bunch of football games after that, watched Alabama. And so it was kind of a relaxing one where I didn't actually attend a game, so my feet weren't even sore come Sunday.
Oh, good. And you probably had plenty to eat.
Well, I might have, but we'll get into that another day.
All right. So much for our little chit-chat, little jab session here. Let's get started, shall we?
Fair enough.
The outstanding performances of the week. Week 5 in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. A definite reddish tint, as you can see. Nick Corder of the NSIC's home office in beautiful downtown Burnsville, Minnesota, has bestowed Player of the Week accolades on 3 members of the Minnesota State University Morehead football program. Quarterback Jack Strand, a junior from Bloomer, Wisconsin. He lit up a very good Augustana defense to the tune of 475 yards through the air and 5 touchdowns. Teammate Cody Sorensen. He is a senior defensive back from Bismarck. He had 9 tackles and 2 interceptions against a potent Augustana offense. And last but not least, this is Witt's favorite, the special teamer. Freshman kicker Max Watson, a Fargo kid, notched 13 points on 4 PATs and 3 field goals, including the game-winning 40-yarder as the Dragons slayed Augustana 43-41. And I don't know that I've ever seen the 3 players of the week all come from the same program, Witt. It's hard to argue with the choices this week, though.
The moment I saw the release, I had the exact same thought. I mean, we've done this for how long where we've looked over the players of the week. It's very impressive. And, once again, another big win for Morehead. There's just no denying it. And so give them all this. I'm all for it.
Leading off our recap of week 5 is the Morehead Augustana tilt. Both teams now 2-1 in the league, 2-2 overall after that 43-41 classic.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights here. We're going to go ahead and have Augie right away. Gunnar Hensley goes over the top, and he hits Isaiah Huber, who's kind of taken Devon Jones' role from a year ago, or kind of that do-everything guy in that offense. Now, that all said, we're still going to go ahead and see plenty of Jack Strand because we just saw his numbers a moment ago. Augie kind of brings a blitz off the end. Strand's going to go ahead and throw this one perfectly. And Augie defender falls, but I think that's probably still a touchdown anyway. Just a perfectly thrown ball right there, into Mr. Perryman. Now, back and forth, Morehead's up 10 here. Augustana strikes. Max Minor, a name that we're not used to calling that much, has been kind of coming on for the Vikings. Then you're going to go ahead and see Strand throw a nice out route here out of the slot for a score right out of halftime. We were 24 all at half. Then Augie's in the red zone here. Jared Epperson, who had been injured in the game we saw at South Dakota State, he's going to go ahead and take the carry to the right, and he's going to go back to the left, get a block from his quarterback, and Epperson returns with a 100-yard game and a score, and great to see him back. Best players in the league. Let's go ahead and see those guys back in the league. And Max Watson, 40-yard boot, great kick right there. They go up 2 points with a minute left. Gunnar Hensley, they kind of have their last gasp here. He steps up in the pocket, kind of throws a high heater, and not able to handle it. Morehead comes away with it with the pick. Nice. And you know what? That's a real big play right there. It's a lot of production from Gunnar Hensley in this football game, Tom. He goes over 300 yards, 4 scores, but did have 3 picks. That was costly for them in this game. You see how productive Jack Strand was. 17 rushes, -1 yards, but you know what? He's so productive, and the way that they do the bubbles and everything else, they're able to overcome that here and come out with another big win.
And our guest this week is the victorious coach of the MSU Morehead Dragons, Steve Laqua. Congrats on the win, Coach. Never in doubt, right?
I don't know about that. There's plenty of doubt. Definitely a nail biter, back and forth battle. Like every game in this league, it's a competitive league, and fortunate enough this time we just came out on the right side of things.
Your ball club amassed 475 yards against a very good Augustana defense. We saw them play State a couple weeks ago, limited the Jackrabbits to 24 points. What was working that allowed you to move the ball so well and rack up 43 points?
Well, I don't know if we ever felt like we were comfortable with things working. I think we were able to manufacture a handful of things. We're able to kind of get some short passes that I think got Jack into a rhythm. And then, we got a few here or there that kind of gotten some open space and allowed us to keep moving the sticks. And so I think their defense did a good job of changing things up, taking away different space. And we had to kind of try and figure out different areas to attack. And, really honestly, credit to Jack. He kept going through the read progression, finding the open window. And so I don't know if it's necessarily we found anything. I think he found the openings and made it work.
Coach, it's kind of hard to talk about your team and not have this guy kind of be the center of attention. He goes ahead, breaks a record for you guys, basically your top all-time passer. Let's be real frank. During the last 10 years, Coach, you've had some pretty good quarterbacks. Why has this guy kind of become the guy with this program?
Well, you're right. I think we've had a really good stretch of quarterbacks that have played really good football within our system. I think Jack's just at a different level. He throws the ball at a higher clip, of a higher velocity. He's more accurate. The ball's out of his hand quicker. And I would say he is able to read through the progressions at a very high rate. And the thing that's kind of unnoticed is his pocket presence of being able to move himself out of trouble, get the ball out of his hand before he either takes a sack or a hit. And you can look and say, yeah, we've got a lot of sacks. Well, we throw it a lot of times, but I'll tell you, he gets himself out of a lot of trouble just by processing and getting the ball out. There's some unseen plays that he's covering for a lot of people. There's some missed protections, some guys that are coming free, and he just slides a little to the left and gets the ball out of his hand. And the next thing you know, you're like, wow, it was a 12-yard completion. We got a first down and new stick. And so he covers up a lot of things that a lot of people maybe don't realize. He's special.
Coach, I hear from a lot of different folks around the league saying, you know what, they're throwing the ball 70 times a game. They're not running the ball for anything. And a lot of people are questioning, is this sustainable for success? What are your thoughts to that?
Well, it's kind of twofold, right? You can talk about balance. Is balance being 50-50 in yards, or is balance being like spreading the ball to a bunch of different people in a bunch of different areas on the field? And I think that's one way we look at it. I think we also look at it as you're trying to think about strengths and you're thinking about percentages, right? And so you're like, okay, well, if we have what we feel is one of the best quarterbacks in our conference and the best quarterback that we've had for a long time, and he's a definite strength to our team, why would we not give him as many opportunities to be able to impact the game? It's like having Steph Curry on your team. Are you going to tell him to balance out how many times he shoots the ball? No, you're going to let the guy shoot and do what he can do. And so we've just kind of chose that path. And, right or wrong, I don't know. You can argue there's pluses and minuses to each side, but at the end of the day, we feel like we got a guy that can make a lot of people around him better. And so let's give him as many opportunities as possible.
Some of those guys around him, the receivers, several of them have had 100-yard games. Florence, Perryman, Thorson, Elbert. He's got quite the crew to throw to there, Coach.
Definitely. And, obviously he's a very good quarterback, but we've got receivers that can get themselves open and find ways to make themselves available. I think knowing that Jack can get the ball into tight spaces, they're always feeling like they're open because he can get it in that window. And so they're fighting real hard to get open in routes, and consistently over time, they're a dynamic group, and they've done a good job. When everybody can go off and have those big 100-yard days or whatever, it just makes it difficult to defend everybody. And I think that's balance. To me, that's balance. You have to defend all four of those receivers, and then you can't forget about the running backs coming out of the backfield catching footballs too. And so it's just how you define the balance. Back to the first question, and our balance is just balancing out where it is on the field, balancing out who it is people wise.
We've been focusing here on your offense, but your defense. You've had a couple of defensive players of the week this year. Cody Sorensen this week, Josiah Boehm earlier this season. Talk about your defense and your thoughts about how they've played this fall.
Defense has done a phenomenal job. I think our defensive coordinator, Jesse Courier, has just done a great job of understanding what our talent is, what our strengths are, how we can play within the framework and DNA of our football team, and how we can make that go. And so I think our guys are selfless. I think they understand that, hey, sometimes there's some calls that maybe I'm not going to be the guy, but I'm going to free up my buddy to make the play. And sometimes we're going to have to play bend but don't break, and maybe the stats don't look good. But if we can buckle down in the red zone and we can be opportunistic with turnovers, hey, we can find a way to win. And I think the complementary football has been really solid. And so credit to those guys on defense. They're doing a great job scheming it up, and the players are doing a great job playing really, really hard and playing together.
I've got a question here about you sitting at one loss in the league. Several teams have one loss in the league. You've got Winona Saturday, then Mankato and Bemidji at home later. What areas do you feel the Dragons still need to improve upon if you want to make that playoff field when the NCAA field is announced come November?
We have to figure out a way to beat Winona first, and we haven't won in Winona since 1995. And so I was a little high schooler running around at that point, and none of our team was born. So it's been a long time since we've been able to get that done. So that starts, and that means going on the road, being able to play, in a competitive environment that's difficult with some maturity. And then obviously this is a tough league. So you're going to have to stay healthy. If you're going to have a chance to win consistent in the league, you got to be healthy. We've had to battle through that here early in the season, where we've had a number of guys that have missed a full week of practice and then try and do what they can out in the game and make it work. And, sometimes we've been able to keep the wheels on, and sometimes we haven't been, but, the guys have been battling. We're just trying to take it 1 week at a time and be as fresh as we can and play the best football we can in that game. And whatever happens, happens.
Coach, there is something that we haven't asked you about, and I do need to bring it up. Coach, we both picked you guys in this game. We felt really good about it. You guys had a trip down there. I heard a quote that you said something about, we felt like in the McKendry game, we were constantly pushing the ball up up the hill. And trust me, I know what that's like having a host with Tom here on this show. But tell us a little bit what kind of went wrong in this one. You guys made a big trip down to St. Louis. I heard there was like delays. Did the bus not find the stadium? What happened here, Coach?
Yeah, well, you're kind of asking for a bunch of excuses. At the end of the day, we didn't play well enough to win. If you look at it, right, we're talking 12.5-hour bus trip. You're talking about a day that was well over 90 degrees and the humidity was heavy, something that we're not, really accustomed to. We haven't been in it. And I will say that zapped us. It zapped us in the first half. We had guys that were out in the second quarter. They're back in the training room in a ice bath. We got guys at halftime doing that. We got guys wringing out their socks at halftime. There's a lightning delay in the second half. We never got our footing. We lost some key guys early that went out of the game and weren't, functioning at a high level. They tried to play and you're in and out. And it just felt like we were stuck in mud and literally pushing the ball up the field. And you know what? Credit to them. They did a good job. They isolated some guys and, we had some substitutions and they found ways to kind of get points on the board. And they did a great job keeping us, out of the end zone. And, 4 turnovers doesn't help a football team win that.
No.
At the end of the day, we got to play better, and we didn't play better, and that's discouraging. And, the good news is our guys bounced back and had a good win over another ranked team this week. We got to be consistent.
Well, Coach, I think that kind of leads into this. I saw you with this quote on Twitter. You need to tell us, I think, though, this speaks to the season you've had so far, right? You came into the year, you kind of get bounced by Wayne in your opener. Then all of a sudden you beat a ranked team in Duluth on the road, a historic win for your program. You guys have kind of done ups and downs here, like really big ones. Is that a little bit of what this is speaking to?
Maybe a little bit. This is really meant for the team in the sense of I challenged them all week. Like, hey, we got to get up off the mat, not just after that game at McKendry, but this is going to be a back and forth battle against Augustana that we're going to keep getting up. They're going to knock us down. It's not going to go perfect. Like, we're going to have to keep getting up. And so every Friday night, we put a small version of a movie together as kind of our motivational talk and that fits the theme of the week for our guys. And so I slipped in a little bit of a scene of the Kool-Aid man coming in on the Family Guy cartoon. And it kind of caught him off guard. But the point at the end when I started talking to the team was, hey, you know what? The Kool-Aid guy, he shows up. And when he shows up, that he's shown up and he's made a difference. And so when you take the field, show up and make a difference. When you get up after something bad's happened, show up and make a difference. And so, when everybody's around going, oh no, well, we need the Kool-Aid guy to show up and say, oh yeah, let's go. And so
I like it.
Like the guys bought into that and did a great job of it. So
I love the old time reference. I'm known for those. And I haven't seen the Kool-Aid guy in 40 years, I don't think.
Look at that, Tom. Tom, look at this.
Oh, gee.
See, I have it at my desk. Kool-Aid is good stuff. Don't kid yourself. But, well, Coach, let me ask you kind of one last question. You're going to be making the trip to Winona. You're playing at Maxwell. There's always a little bit of set of challenges with that. Not one of the easiest places to play in the conference. When you throw on the film, what do you see with them, and what do you need to prepare for that way?
They play extremely hard on both sides of the field. You look at that. Coach Bergey's they believe in them. They believe in what they're doing. They're playing hard regardless of the score. They are physical, both on offense and defense. And I think you look at that and say their ability to establish the run and be physical and sustain drives, keep the ball away from offenses. Like, they've played in a bunch of close games, and their style of play is going to shorten the game down. So that's obviously, it's a concern for us offensively, trying to get as many plays and possessions as possible. They're not going to allow that. And physicality is something that, it can wear you down over the course of the game. So if you can't get stops defensively, you're going to wear down. And offensively, they're going to just keep coming at you. Their defense is going to just keep coming after you. And if you can't hold up for that, it's going to be a long day, especially with that student section and the crowd right on top of you. It's right there. And so momentum, they feed off of that, especially at home. And so we've got to try and either get a great start, or we've got to be able to keep them from getting in that momentum and that rhythm that keeps us down.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on with us here on such short notice. To be real candid here, hit Coach up today. You know what? He shoots me right back and says, yeah, I can do that. A good friend of the program, and I appreciate you making the time, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Good talking with you.
Well, you know what? Each year, Tom, they do things to make us want to have them on the show. They really do. They pull off big wins every season.
I was on the bandwagon earlier this year. I had them beating Wayne State, and then all of a sudden they let me down. But man, wins at Duluth and a win over Augie, 2 top 25 programs. Man,
Exactly.
I'm back on the bandwagon.
Well, speaking of getting back on the bandwagon,
Northern.
Are the fans at Northern State now kind of getting behind this program? I heard the place was rocking on Saturday night, Tom.
What the schneid, Witt.
I know. What can you tell me about this one?
Well, at home they win 30-24, and how about that Jake Adams? I was looking at the stats.
You were
in preparation for Jeopardy later.
Oh, that's an awesome line you just said. And you'll find out in about 20 minutes why.
Jake Adams, man, this guy has about 30 more tackles than the next guy in the standings. It's unbelievable what he's doing. Wow.
You know what? He has been stuck on 15 plus tackles for a good while here. And I've thought for a while that, when I watched the way he came on in the back half of last year as a freshman and was a tackling machine then, and he's got it going again right now. And, you go ahead and take a look at the rest, Tom. They didn't get a ton of production in this football game. They got enough. They end up having 325 yards offense, which with the season the Northerns had, that's enough for them to win a football game because their defense isn't bad. And, you see Wyatt Block stepped up for them. 14 rushes, 88 yards.
Where was Kraft?
Kraft played, but Block came on in and, did very, very well. Now, this was a game where Northern's up 17-7 at half. Winona comes back, takes the lead after 3 quarters, and Northern, was able to, close them out in the 4th quarter. So, congrats to Coach Schmidt and his crew there. Mike's always kind of been a friend of the program, a really good guy, and, they're playing the toughest schedule in the Northern Sun this year. Mankato is right there with them, but, Northern State's really got a difficult run of it here. So, I'm hoping that the Wolves go ahead and use this as a bounce back, and we'll see where we go from there.
All right. Where we're going from here is St. Paul, Minnesota. Mankato remains alone atop the Northern Sun. The 4th-ranked Mavericks improved to 5-0 in the league. And actually 5-0 for the season. They're 4-0 in the league with a road win in the Twin Cities to score much closer than what I anticipated. 33-20, the final.
Well, there's kind of 2 pieces to this. This was a 33-6 ball game in the 3rd.
Okay.
So at that point, Mankato kind of takes their foot off the gas a little bit. 2nd string quarterback comes on in. 2nd string, not the big 3 running backs. They have another guy come on in. All that starts to kind of play out a little bit. But you know what? To the credit of Concordia, they were able to make this a 13-point game with about 10 minutes left in the 4th. So at that point, we're not over yet. And I liked the battle that I saw here in the Golden Bears. Now, when I was watching the game, their quarterback, Reed Steyer, he took a pretty big shot, and I did not see him return in the game. Jackson Compton came on in through 2 scores. Jalen Richardson was limited in the running game, and you kind of figured that Mankato would look to minimize him, and they have the ability certainly to do so. On the other side, Gabe Hagan, I think, is a pretty underrated tight end for that ball club. I got a chance to see him up close and make in person against Northwest Missouri State, and he had a heck of a ball game there. I think that he's kind of that underrated, as good a tight end as anybody in the league kind of player.
1 to 4 they have on their 2 deep, believe it or not. And he wears number 8. Upstairs.
I was just going to say, one of these times we're going to give you a impromptu quiz on the 2 deep, but I don't want to embarrass you in front of the whole crowd.
All right. In my game here, USF got out to a 13-0 lead, then had to settle for a field goal on its 3rd drive to give him 16 points. After that, the offense non-existent until a meaningless drive in the final minutes. Minot killed the Cougars with runs of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards out of that flex bone. Beavers' longest play, maybe 14, 15 yards was it, but they kept moving the ball, deservedly won over the Cougars for the first time as NSIC rivals. The time of possession was 2-1, 40 minutes to 20 minutes. I got to meet Coach Shields in the press box. We had him on a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
His boy, 9, 10 years old, was there, and he says, "Are you the guy who interviewed my dad on the video?" Must have been the hair that gave it away.
Must have been.
And then afterwards, walking to the bus, leaving the press box, one of their players walks by, number 10, Trevor Youngman, backup quarterback, gives me a thumbs up, says, "Hey, big fan of the NSIC Weekly podcast." So that made my trip to Minot worth the while. The loss, not so much, but seeing Coach Shields and knowing that we've got some fans up north was worth it.
You know, I got in my vehicle after the youth game I was helping coach. 13-0 USF at that time. Things turned from there. I felt that score right before half by Minot was huge. The touchdown that they had there, it gave them the momentum in the football game, and I thought that they never gave it up. I thought that when they established the option the way they did, it was the whole death by 1,000 paper cuts. We're going to shorten the football game, so it's not going to play like a regular 4-quarter game. It's going to play like 3 quarters and change. And I really felt that put pressure on the USF offense so that each possession and each play became precious because of the fact they knew they didn't have as many in front of them. And I just don't think that the USF offense responded very well to that. And the Minot, I thought that Minot did a great job of varying things with their offense and how they ran the flex bone. And I thought their defense came to play. And I thought in the back half of that game, I thought that they kind of smelled or could get a little bit of blood in the water. And I think that they went ahead and finished the game.
Yeah, they sure did. They had scoring drives of 12 plays, 15 plays, 17 plays, and just time consuming. And Cougar defense just could not get off the field.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of a warning to the rest of the league. I think some people may have done some level of dismissing the Beavers when they got blown out at Mankato. Well, guess what? A whole lot of people are going to get their butt kicked at Mankato. So this is a warning to places where they're going to be traveling to or games where teams are going to play up there that, hey, we can knock off some of these other teams that maybe everybody else didn't think so. So I think Minot just became all the more interesting with a win like that.
Yep, I was impressed. Bemidji celebrated homecoming in a big way. They moved up in the poll in the process. They routed Mary right there at Lake Bemidji.
Yeah, and if we look at this one, Mary had a pretty tough last few weeks. They get Duluth, who, as we talked about, and we'll see in a minute, they don't just beat teams that they're supposed to. They destroy them. And so Mary comes off that, then gets a chance to make a trip to Bemidji. That's fun because now I'm going to get another physical football team with a defense that's going to get after us. And, you see Marcus Hansen on the stat sheet there. I'm not sure there's a guy in the Northern Sun that plays on the other team's side of the field more. He gets in the backfield so often. And, they didn't allow 200 yards offense in that game. I did want to point out that our guy Mason Phillips continues to be a big-time player for Mary, a guy who better be on the first team all-conference. I'm just going to say that because he's been a guy that we've talked a lot about this year. But Bemidji took care of business like they were supposed to. And Sam McGath is quietly having a pretty solid year. He does turn the ball over a little bit. We saw that in Sioux Falls. I've seen that in some of the other games. But you know what? His overall production's pretty good.
I don't know if he's making people say, Brandon, who? But he is playing quite well. Sam McGath is very, very good at quarterback for the Beavers. UMD completely shackled Southwest Minnesota State to win its second in a row after that setback at the hands of Morehead back on the 14th. 62-0 Witt, and the Mustangs could generate little or no offense to speak of.
Yeah, this game was real bad. I mean, it was 48-0 halftime score. Almost 500 yards of offense to not even 100. 10 sacks. I feel for Southwest because when we kind of alluded to this last week, when you don't necessarily have a real strong grasp on what that offense can do in a passing game, quarterback spot, they're breaking in new guys, and then you're going to go ahead and have Duluth come in and come after your quarterback the way they do. That's a tough deal. So let's hope SMSU, can go ahead and kind of get off the mat, just like Coach said, and find a way to scratch some wins because right now it's a pretty tough one for them.
All right, all together now. Who is the exclusive sponsor of the NSIC Weekly Podcast? It's Boss's Pizza and Chicken. That's who. And we thank them for their patronage and for supporting us.
Now, do you see what is on the page here, Tom? Their 19th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean they're giving 19% off pizzas? No, you dumbbell. They're giving 50% off.
I hope,
and that's
those dates are extended because the release date of this podcast is after those dates, Whit.
But you know what? It doesn't matter for me because we advertised this on Sunday evening on the show there, and I'm ordering Bosses tonight when I get off the deal with you.
Oh, you're just in under the wire then, because
I am.
Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna say I just got done talking about you on a podcast, but they also have proceeds going and being donated to Feeding South Dakota. Jeremy and Bosses have always done a fantastic job with that type of charity work and things of that sort. So kudos to them in this process.
And our thanks to Boss's Pizza and Chicken for being our exclusive sponsor.
Exclusive.
The D2football.com top 25. No changes at the top. Some shuffling down below. On the rise, Bemidji, while Augie slides.
Yeah, and the Bemidji thing, this is not to take away from their win at all. The reason they moved up a bunch is because a whole bunch of teams lost in that area. There was a total of 6 teams that lost this last week, and most of them were in that 14 to 20-ish range. So Bemidji, Central Oklahoma, Western Alabama all kind of took a leap forward because of this little up and down that happens when a bunch of teams lose in that space. So we kept Augustana in our top 25. They've got 2 losses, but let's be honest, one of those is to an FCS champion that would kick everybody else's butt in D2 also. So that's not really fair to look at them as a 2-2 team. So we still have them in there. I know the coaches do not, but there was also some new entries here, Tom. Johnson C. Smith, a team out of an HBCU squad out of the Carolinas. You've got Indiana, Pennsylvania, IUP, who's come on in. So there's some new entries in the mix as well, which is always kind of interesting to watch. That 22 to 25 range. That's where you're going to see some of the new people jumping on in.
All right. Looky who won the week. Hey. I'm still third, but I picked up a game in the standings, and there's still 7 weeks to go. Anybody's race yet, Whit?
I know I'm a little bit ashamed of, how I did last week. 3-3 for me is utterly dreadful considering how I was coming into this with only 5 setbacks on the season. But I'm going to rebound this week, and I'm pretty confident about that.
Okay, we'll see. Mankato's still the last man standing in the Northern Sun, so to speak. Bemidji, a last-second kick away from the top. Minot and 4 others with 1 loss apiece. USF, the lone team at 500 in league play. Concordia, Winona, and Northern each got a W. And Mary and Southwest still in search of that elusive first conference victory. Those are the standings heading into this weekend's action. And let's preview the weekend, shall we?
Absolutely.
It's homecoming at Augustana, and the Vikings entertain Minnesota Duluth. The folks at Massey have installed Augie 3-point picks. Now, Witt worked hard on his graphic, and it appears he's siding with the home squad, if I interpret that correctly. I've got to pick UMD here as the NSIC's top defense is going to prevail in this one over it.
Well, if you were so you have the Bulldogs, is that right?
I've got the Bulldogs.
Well, and by the way, I do the X's to the right and left side. So if you have any beef, feel free to send all your vitriol my way. I'm no guy. But some of these could probably be contested. As I look at this here, some of the biggest things I see are, you know what? Duluth has been outstanding on defense. Their quarterback allows them to be a heck of a threat rushing the football. Their total defense is really good. Now, Augustana's played a tougher schedule so far. Duluth has not. I mean, and I'm just being very as candid as I can here. Home field advantage means quite a bit to Augie in a game like this. Augie plays better at home. Duluth does not play awesome on the road. They, last year, they went down to, what was it, Wayne? Struggled, lost there, ended up being a big game.
That's a hard place to play, too.
Yeah, but I mean, if we take a look here and we're going to be honest with ourselves, the last few times you've seen, for example, Duluth come to Sioux Falls, USF ends up getting the better of them, and I'm not sure that we're the better football team. So I'm going to give Augustana a clear mark for the home field advantage this game being played at Augie. Now, if we add up the X's, Tom, there's 12 of them for Duluth, 11 for Augustana.
Huh.
I know math wasn't necessarily your thing.
You've got to come up with a better way of these.
I know it's terribly confusing for you. I can see this. We're 3 weeks in and it's still a mystery.
Yep.
But here's how I see this. Augustana playing South Dakota State, they had a chance to play a team that had a top level defense already. And they got a chance to see kind of on their play sheet some of the stuff that works and doesn't work against a really good opponent. Duluth hasn't played an awesome defense yet. Let's be honest. Morehead was not, the 85 Bears in that football game. So as we look at this now, I think Augustana really benefits from playing a high-quality opponent like that. I think that, to me, is the biggest difference here. I like Augustana to win at home in a very close game. I don't know if they cover the 3 that Massey has them favored by, but I do have the Vikings winning the football game.
I find it funny, too. Duluth's got to come back to Sioux Falls in 2 weeks to play Sioux Falls on the Cougars' homecoming as well.
These schedules we have these last few years are, you never know what's next. I'll put it that way.
Surprising one-loss Minot is next up. They go to Wayne State, where the Wildcats are coming off a bye. And according to the folks at Massey, Wayne State is favored by 20. Now, I mentioned, I'm on record as saying I was impressed by the Beavers last week, but in all honesty, I don't see them getting a win down south.
Do you have them covering the 20?
It makes no difference. Wins and losses, it's all that counts.
Well, then why say the Massey number if it doesn't matter?
Because people like to know that. I know they're not going to. Yeah, they're gonna finish within 20.
There you go. Thanks for offering an opinion. Okay, so as I'm looking at this here, there's a part of me that would like to take Minot to give Wayne some real problems, and I think they might. Now, the respect that comes from a tool like Massey, in terms of the way that they do things in their computer rankings, it's taking too much data into account for how well Minot's playing this year. Okay, if we're going to be really honest. I like Minot covering that number. My fear is if they get down early, Tom, and give up some of those big plays that Wayne can do through the air, I think it's a long day for them because they're not the type of style that's going to come back
No.
from a big number. So I like Wayne winning this game. Give me a 31-20 kind of score, but I think Minot's going to make it real interesting. But I like Wayne to win it.
You just used the phrase "a tool like Massey." Is that different than when you call me a tool?
It is different. It's two different uses of the word. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Just wanted to verify that. Thanks. Winona is hosting Morehead, and Massey has the Warriors favored by 3. What? Morehead's coming off that Augie win, and Winona lost at Northern, yet the Warriors are still favored?
Well, but they also lost at McKendry.
I'm on the Morehead.
Apparently couldn't get the water out of their socks and all the other stuff that happened.
It was good to hear him say that. I'm going with Morehead here.
There's part of me that's really tempted to take Winona in this game. I keep waiting for Winona's offense to kind of kick into gear, and I think they have the weapons to do it. I think they just can't quite turn the page. I don't like them to cover. I'm gonna take Morehead on the road, but I don't feel real good about it, Tom. You know what?
It's etched in stone. You picked Morehead.
You know what? I'm going to turn. I'm going to do a turn. I'm taking the Fighting Bergies. I'm going to let Bergie know that he better get that group up and running. I picked them. They need to get their second win. I'm taking Winona at home. I said it.
All right. First 3 games, we differ on 2 of them. They're very interesting.
Yes.
In a non-conference tilt, Southwest Minnesota State hosts Nebraska Kearney. The Mustangs are 29-point underdogs. I know nothing about UNK whatsoever, but I fully expect them to win in Marshall and probably cover the spread.
Well, Kearney is a 2-2 ball club. Obviously, I do the MIAA show, and they're a part of that conference. They beat Northwest Missouri State in week 2. Wow. Now, that was when Northwest Missouri State, to be honest, was reeling. But Kearney also did go ahead and they played and were able to hang around with Central Missouri, who is a top 20 squad. That all said, I think they're going to be too athletic for Southwest, and I think the road trip's not awesome, but at the same time, I don't know if they cover. Maybe they do, but I think that unless Southwest can get this offense kicked into gear, I think Kearney can put up a big number in that one.
Moving right along. USF is at Mankato as Coach Glow goes back to where he was defensive coordinator for 7 seasons. The 4th-ranked Mavs are the 14-point choice, according to Massey. Now, I'm expecting a good game, but I also expect Mankato to win.
Gotcha. I think that this game is a close first half. I think in the second half, I think Mankato, the depth they have at the running back spot and their ability to go ahead and be right now just a better defensive team than Sioux Falls has been. I like Mankato to take care of business in the second half.
I'm concerned about Eckern's running ability and that wide receiver by the name of Trayshawn Watson, too.
Yeah.
Already. Concordia St. Paul travels to Bismarck for a date with Mary. Marauders are a pick'em choice, according to Massey here. I'd love to see Mary get his first win of the conference season. I'm going to come down on the side of the North Dakotans here.
I liked what I saw out of Concordia St. Paul in terms of how they got things going there. And I think that was a good... I think that gives them a little bit of momentum with the way that they played the second half against a great Mankato team. You know, they won a week ago. I'm not sure how good a road warriors they are because this is a long trip. I'm going to go ahead, Coach Courier, come through for me. I'm going against them again. So I need Bergie and Courier to come through for me here. I'm just saying, I'm taking the Golden Bears.
We differ on 3 choices so far.
I see that.
Last but not least, Bemidji at Northern State. Nationally ranked Bemidji State is a 17-point favorite. I see the Beavers winning this one with not a lot of difficulty.
I was really excited for the Wolves and to see how they got things going again. And they're playing this game at home. You know what the one problem they've done with this? This is not a night game. The night game is a big advantage for them, in my opinion. And I think Bemidji, unfortunately for the Wolves, they're the team that I think is as good as, I think they're right there with Mankato, and I have them at the top of my list. They have been a bad matchup for the Wolves each of the last few years. I got Bemidji running away in this game.
All right. We differ on 3 of them. We'll see what the standings look like next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Time for America's fastest growing quiz show. It is NSIC Jeopardy.
That's exactly right. And let's go ahead. And you know what? If this show was really good, we know what we would have.
Music. Oh, we got music.
That's right.
I guess it is really good.
So, in an effort to keep you on your toes, you know what I did?
Nope.
We have gone to video or visual Jeopardy. I've got 5 players that were stars over the last 10 years of Northern Sun football.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am ready, sir. Fire at me, please.
Quarterback for SMSU during the mid-teens. He was one of those guys who was a great gunner back in that window where we had a lot of good quarterbacks in the conference.
Blake Gimble.
Now, boy, doesn't even let me finish what I'm saying. Hi-oh! I'm instantly regretting this game. Apparently, Ed wanted to say it twice.
You are correct, sir.
I'm instantly regretting this game, I feel. Okay, now the next one is a question that you need. Don't blurt out your answers. I know you want to. You already know who the Marauder is on the left. And if you don't, know that that's Danny Kittner.
Oh, little
then
Danny.
you shouldn't be on this darn show.
Yep.
The question is, he had
Luke Little.
a receiving mate who had 1,000-yard season with him at the same time.
Luke Little.
Hi-oh! So now you've gotten 2 right in a row. I'm a little bit, yeah.
Will wonders never cease?
We're going to have to go back to the other type of questions. You're doing far too good with this. You don't even need multiple guesses like we were starting to go to last week because of your futility. Quarterback, Northern State, in the early teens. I thought this one would be a little bit more difficult for you. Keep in mind, I didn't think you were going to get the other ones right.
I need it.
Dual threat player.
Give me the initials of the guy, would you?
What do you want me to give you? His hometown and phone number too?
The initials of the guy. It's not Hunter Troutman. It's before Hunter Troutman. I can't think of the name, but you give me the initials, I might get it.
JJ.
Oh, God. Jake. Nope, can't think of it.
God, I love doing that. Jared Jacobson.
Jared Jacobson. See, I got Jake. Jacobson.
Yep, he was yelling at the screen. But so we're at 2 correct. Is that right? We're 2 correct, 1 wrong.
Right.
Okay, this next one, I'm real curious to see how you do. We were just watching Morehead a moment ago. This was one of their best quarterbacks in that window that Coach was talking about, 2016, 2017. It's a 2-part question. That's how we do this here. Not only who's the quarterback, but who's the Augustana linebacker, local Sioux Falls product, went to high school at Washington, I believe. So not only do I have 1 on tap here, I got 2 questions. Offer away of what you got.
I'm going to go with the linebacker first. That's Kirby Hora. You just like making me look foolish, don't you?
That was Brandon Moore.
Brandon Moore, M-O-H-R. Yep, got it. And the quarterback, I need the initials, Witt.
Stay hot. Okay. DC.
Demetrius Carr.
Hi-oh! Not even sure if I want to give you credit for that, given initials and other whatever we're doing here.
Hey, I've seen so many players over the course of my career. I can't remember them all like that with a drop of a hat. I need a little assistance.
So you got one right there, one wrong.
Right.
What are we at right now?
That's probably a half and half there, right?
No, that's a full wrong, getting Brandon Moore wrong.
Okay. 3 right, 3 wrong.
So this is the big one then.
Okay. Yeah, this is the tiebreaker.
Okay, let me find that exact photo I need. Here we go. I think you're going to get this one. And it's, guess what? Since we're all tied up like this, here's how I'm going to do you. Not only give me the Augie guy, but give me the running back, the long time running back from Duluth. I'll even give you what hometown he was from.
Okay, give me the hometown.
Lakeville, Minnesota.
North or South High School?
North.
North. I need his initials.
Good governor. This segment. WS for the Duluth player. 5'7" running back, 4-year starter. You would have had to memorize his name 4 different times on your walkarounds.
No, not 4. We didn't play Duluth 4 times in 4 years.
3 at least.
Wyatt something or other.
Wade Sullivan.
Wade Sullivan. There you go. Yeah. And the other guy is Kirby Ora.
Kirby Hora. Yes, not Kirby Ora. Yes. Who knew that was going to be much as a tractor pull as it was? But there we are.
God, I enjoyed that, Witt.
Did you? Okay, good. Well, you're gonna get dose number 2 next week, because I get a feeling our viewers are gonna like this a little bit better than you getting the questions of who's got good stats wrong on a weekly basis.
Thank you. You continue to release your limited supply of NSIC weekly T-shirts, right?
I do.
And the individual you consider our top
hey,
fan
your Hot Pocket's ready.
The guy you consider our top fan this week is a Cougar fan. And he was the only guy who showed up live and in person to witness you futilely attempt the boss's pizza.
Boy, I was hoping you were going to bring that crap up. Yeah, yep. That's great. Yeah, our guy, Terry Mishak. Terry is an interesting, eclectic, diverse guy. First off, as we go ahead and we take a look, you see a picture with him with Coach Bob Young in the middle there. Then here's one side of Terry we can't not talk about. Rides his bike to work every day, no matter the weather. The shot down at the bottom right would be an indication of that, where he's got like a Jim Carrey thing going on from Dumb and Dumber, where his boogers are sticking to the deal there. He's had news stories about him in this process. Now, Terry has been, just so everyone's aware, Terry has been Tundra Man on our website in the forums for a long time. And back with the Cougars and the NEIA on Victory Sports Network before that. And Terry is an outstanding guy. You can see him. He also loves to play music, build musical instruments. So he'll create a bass from scratch and go ahead and do all that stuff. And his son, Tyler, is an incredible musician. He plays drums. You can see him in the bottom left there. He's playing bass with his father there in a band. So Terry is an outstanding guy, as you mentioned. The one real one who showed up, well, other than you, who showed up for the pizza debacle. Brandon and I from Boss's Pizza almost a year ago to the date, by the way. So I thought that it was only fitting that we would reward Terry like this. And great guy. I don't think he's expecting this. So this will be kind of a neat thing. And, week by week, we want to appreciate our top fans, from the show. 3
shirts down. You got an adequate supply to get us through the rest of the year?
Still looking into that, but this isn't a good time for my shirt supplier to go all of a sudden cold turkey, not talking to me. But that's my problem, not the fan of the week's problem. But I got enough shirts here for the next few. We're good.
All right. That'll do it for season 3, episode 6 of NSIC Weekly Podcast. Please check out our socials up there on the screen. Follow us as well as the Northern Sun feed. And our thanks to the NSIC network for that splendid video of the Augustana Morehead game that Witt appropriated for this week's show. And don't forget to watch D2Football.com's Sunday evening Big Shoe on YouTube. Until next time, this is Tom and Matt saying so long, and thanks a lot for your time.